Tonight on Global TV News Prime, President Bola Tinubu approves reform for National Youth Service Corps. In business, the federal government unveils 40 compressed natural gas buses, 7 electric cars, 200 CNG-powered tricycles in Kano State. On the foreign scene, United Kingdom's Chancellor Reeves says a new leader will stand with Ukraine. And in sports, police shooting Federation partner on firearms vetting. Hello everyone, welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Muyi Agmofwebe. And here is a quick reminder that we are on DSTV channel 365, Star Times channel 276, and Free TV. Tonight, we begin by telling you the Federal Executive Council, chaired by President Bola Tinubu, has approved a sweeping reform of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, marking the first comprehensive review of the scheme in its 53-year history. The decision was announced by the Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, after the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Kikelemo Okere has details.
The Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, says the reform will align the scheme with current national development priorities and equip corps members with practical skills for self-reliance and job creation.
Work in line to reform the act that strongs the NYSC in collaboration with these three ministries and all MDHs. We're happy to.
The council also approved financing arrangement valued at about $2.96 billion and €200 million to support key projects in transportation, agriculture, power, infrastructure, and micro, small, and medium enterprise.
So what that means is the remaining investment that needs to be made can now go ahead. The total amount is about 215 billion naira.
In the health sector, FEC approved 4 major initiatives worth about 93.9 billion naira aimed at strengthening healthcare delivery, disease control, and emergency medical service nationwide.
First was the upgrade of the Snakebite Treatment Center in Kaltungo, Gombe State, into the National Snakebite Research and Medical Center in Kaltungo, Gombe State.
Also approved was about 2.078 trillion naira for road infrastructure projects across 10 states to expand the modernized Nigeria's transport network.
FEC was also notified that the first lot of Lagos, Kaduna, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano Road, 118 kilometers, 257 billion, is been completed.
The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, announced the approval of 38.398 billion naira for the construction of airstrip in Boko, Benue State.
Sought Council's approval for the construction and development of the Boko airstrip in Benue State, and it was graciously approved by Council.
On maritime development, the Council approved 4 strategic projects to modernize the nation's port infrastructure and boost the blue economy. The approvals include the procurement of 2 firefighting boats valued at 34.06 billion naira, equivalent to approximately $16 million, to enhance emergency response at port and waterfront facilities.
This fire patrol will be deployed for fire patrol within the port jurisdiction, and at jetties where highly flammable cargoes are discharged for tankers.
Meanwhile, President Tinubu administered the oath of office to 8 federal commissioners, 2 for the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, and 6 for the National Population Commission. Kikelemo Okere, Global TV News.
Thank you so very much, Kikelemo. Justice Muhammad Umar of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has granted bail to the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Omoyele Sowore, after restoring his bail following an earlier revocation. The court ordered that Sowore surrender his international passports and provide 2 sureties in the sum of 200 million naira each. Ubongu Soro has details.
Omoyele Showere's bail was revoked by Justice Mohammed Omar on June 16, 2026, on the grounds of non-appearance during a scheduled trial at the Federal High Court in Abuja. The court subsequently issued a bench warrant for his arrest and ordered his remand at Kuje Correctional Center. Showere is facing trial over allegations linked to cybercrime and defamatory statements arising from social media posts in which he allegedly referred to Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a criminal. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Showere, speaking after the proceedings, said the fresh conditions imposed for his bail, including the surrender of his international passports and 2 sureties valued at 200 million naira each, were a breach of his fundamental human rights.
Until we talk to the Nigerian people. Exactly. There is no force on earth that can stop this revolution.
Yes, obviously.
We have won them. Yes. But they will not listen. Yes. But now it appears a little bit of common sense is returning to them. Yes. And as a result, I was granted a fresh bail. Yes.
Caleb Joshua, a supporter of the African Action Congress, said the treatment of Showere by the court does not follow best practices.
Not a criminal. Showere is a freeborn, right? Somebody who advocates for the freedom of every Nigerian. And all we are saying is, we don't even want the so-called bail taken off, or rather, granting him bail.
The court further directed that one surety must be a traditional ruler, while the second must be the owner of a landed property within Abuja. The matter was adjourned for continuation of trial. Showere's legal team and supporters continue to question the bail conditions. Ubong Usoro, Global TV News.
Let's turn to politics now. The African Democratic Congress ADC has protested what it describes as alleged judicial bias and prosecutorial misconduct against the party by Justice Peter Lifu of the Federal High Court, Abuja. Rufai Balarabe, the national youth leader of the party, says the ADC is tired of constant persecution and unfair treatment. Political correspondent Ubong Usoro reports.
Members and supporters of the African Democratic Congress staged a protest at the premises of the Federal High Court in Abuja, accusing Justice Peter Lifu of judicial bias and unfair treatment in matters involving the party. The protesters allege that the judge's rulings, particularly in cases relating to the party's deregistration and leadership disputes, have raised concerns about fairness and impartiality in the judicial process. They also accuse Justice Lifu of proceeding with matters despite a subsisting Court of Appeal order, staying proceedings, and action they describe as judicial misconduct. Speaking during the protest, Rufai Balarabe called for the immediate removal of the judge, insisting that the judiciary must remain neutral and uphold justice without political influence.
What Justice Lifu is doing, the remaining hopes Nigerians have in judiciary, they are losing it.
Yes, sir.
As young people of this country, we don't want that to happen.
Shehu Ali, personal assistant to the ADC national chairman, also called on relevant authorities to investigate the allegations and restore public confidence in the judiciary.
We are here to say no to Justice Lifu, to just leave the judiciary. The judiciary is not for sale.
The protesters urge judicial authorities to act swiftly on their demands, maintaining that safeguarding the independence, neutrality, and credibility of the judiciary remains essential to Nigeria's democracy. Ubong Usoro, Global TV News.
The First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has defended her earlier comments on small-scale businesses, saying the federal government's empowerment programs extend beyond akara sellers to include traders in tomatoes, pepper, vegetables, and roasted plantain. Senator Tinubu spoke during the inauguration of the newly constructed Abubakar Maje Haruna Hall at the Emir of Hadija's Palace in Jigawa State. Her remarks come days after comments she made about akara, roasted corn, and kuli-kuli businesses sparked widespread backlash on social media, with many Nigerians accusing her of trivializing the country's economic hardship. A Kaduna State High Court has declined the bail application filed by former Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai, holding that the application lacked merit. The trial judge, Justice Dirusu Kobo, ruled that the former governor failed to place sufficient material before the court to warrant the exercise of its discretion in his favor. El-Rufai is standing trial on a 9-count charge bordering on alleged abuse of office and related offenses instituted against the former governor by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission, ICPC. June 30 is observed globally as the International Day of Parliamentarianism, a day designated by the United Nations to recognize the vital role of parliaments in advancing democracy, accountability, and transparency, as well as good governance. The day also commemorates the establishment of the Inter-Parliamentary Union in 1889, the world's oldest multilateral political organization. Zerao Nasir has more.
Parliament remains the cornerstone of every democratic system. It is the institution where laws are enacted, national budgets are debated and approved, and the executive arm of government is held accountable on behalf of the people. Beyond lawmaking, Parliament serves as the voice of citizens, ensuring that public policies reflect the needs and aspirations of the electorate. Despite these constitutional responsibilities, many Nigerians continue to call for greater transparency in legislative activities, stronger oversight of public spending, and the passage of laws that directly improve the welfare of ordinary citizens.
Many challenges, we are passing so many challenges. The insecurity is the main issue. If the country will have security today, so I think everything will be all right.
If they have that seat, let them come to a reasonable issues that can make the masses to be, have joy.
I will expect those representing us in the National Assembly there to be up and doing. First and foremost, they should know why they are there. They should know that they are not there on their own. They are there to represent people.
As Nigeria continues to consolidate its democratic institutions, many observers believe that strengthening legislative accountability and public trust will be critical to achieving good governance and sustainable national development. Some citizens also stress the need for more inclusive representation, advocating greater participation of women and young people in parliamentary decision-making, while embracing digital technology to enhance transparency and deepen citizens' engagement with the legislative process.
Let them fight insecurity. Create all this like state policing that will be able to be near to the rural area.
But the
state police.
Bill for state police.
Let them implement it. That will also even create another job opportunity.
As the world marks the International Day of Parliamentarism, attention is focused on building stronger, more inclusive and responsive legislatures capable of addressing the evolving needs of society and reinforcing democratic governance.
For many Nigerians, the hope is that Parliament will continue to serve as a platform where national interests take precedence over partisan politics and where the voices of citizens are reflected in policies and legislation. Zahra Unasser, Global TV News.
Thank you so very much, Zerao, for your reporting tonight. Justice Mohammed Umar of the Federal High Court Abuja has adjourned hearing in the suit filed by Aggrieved People's Redemption Party, PRP, presidential aspirant Yakubu Kingsley, seeking the removal of former Cross River State Governor Donald Duke as the presidential candidate of the same party. Political correspondent Uboga Osoro has details.
The suit challenges Duke's candidacy, with the claimant questioning the legality of the process that produced him as the party's flag bearer. The court is expected to determine whether due process and electoral requirements were followed during the nomination process. Addressing journalists after the proceedings, Barrister Felix Igboga, counsel to Yakubu Kingsley, expressed confidence in the case, insisting that the court will ensure justice is served based on the facts presented.
They are not in court. However, the court held the matter and we told the court the position of the case today, and the court graciously adjourned the matter to on the 7th day of July 2026 for hearing, so that we can argue our process. Before then, we will file our counter affidavit to the preliminary objection so that the matter can be held at the and the court determine our rules.
The matter has been adjourned to July 7 for substantive hearing. The outcome of the case is expected to shape PRP's preparations for the 2027 general elections. Ubong Usoro, Global TV News.
The Executive Secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, architect Sonny Echono, has called on Nigerian scientists to accelerate efforts towards developing the country's first Lassa fever vaccine. The Executive Secretary made the call at the presentation of findings from a TED Fund-sponsored mega research project on Lassa fever by the Federal University of Health Sciences, Otukpo. Global Television's Priscilla Obasi reports.
Speaking during the presentation of the outcomes of a TED Fund-funded mega research project on Lassa fever in Abuja, Executive Secretary of the fund, Sonny Echono, described the disease as a major public health challenge requiring urgent scientific intervention. He challenged researchers to focus on developing Nigeria's first Lassa fever vaccine, describing vaccination as the most effective strategy for controlling infectious diseases. Echono said Nigeria must move beyond research findings to practical solutions that will reduce the burden of Lassa fever across the country.
With the body of knowledge we have and the experts, many of you here today, that we have, what is the shortest route towards developing the vaccine? How can we ensure that the burden on our people every year we're having thousands of people die from Lassa fever? What is the fastest path and how can TED Fund support that drive?
Presenting the research findings, Principal Investigator Professor Joseph Okopi said the multi-state study confirmed that Nigeria bears the highest global burden of Lassa fever, recording between 5,000 and 10,000 deaths annually. The study identified Benue State as having the highest prevalence among the 5 states surveyed and found that adults between the ages of 20 and 40 are most exposed to the disease due to farming and other outdoor activities. The researcher also identified poor housing conditions, rodent infestation, and food contamination as major risk factors, while noting that rodent consumption alone was not an independent predictor of infection.
It is known that most RNA viruses has some level of virulency than positive RNA viruses. So why are we interested in this? We are interested in this because it's a viral hemorrhagic fever that causes a lot of mortality and morbidity among hospital patients and the community.
Vice-Chancellor of the Federal University of Health Sciences, Otukpo, Professor Francis Abba Uba, described the 250 million naira TED Fund grant as a landmark investment that has strengthened the university's research capacity and generated evidence to support national health policy. The research team expressed optimism that the findings will accelerate vaccine development and strengthen Nigeria's response to Lassa fever and other emerging infectious diseases. Priscilla Obasi, Global Television News.
Kano State government has reaffirmed its commitment to tackling drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking as authorities destroyed over 12 tons of seized narcotic drugs and other dangerous substances. Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, represented by Secretary to the State Government Umar Farouk Ibrahim, made this known at an exercise led by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in collaboration with the Kano State Government. Global TV correspondent Idris Jibrain has more.
The destruction of 12.2 tons of illicit narcotic drugs psychotropic substances and other dangerous chemicals, marks another milestone in the fight against drug abuse and trafficking in Kano State.
What you witness is not theater. It is justice made visible. It is a firm, unambiguous, and irreversible declaration that Nigeria will not surrender its future to drug laws and criminal cartels.
Representing Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, the Secretary to the State Government Umar Farouk Ibrahim described the distraction as more than a symbolic exercise, saying it demonstrates the government's determination to deny criminal networks the opportunity to circulate harmful substances within communities. The governor reaffirmed his administration's commitment to strengthening intelligence sharing among security agencies and enhancing cross-border collaboration to dismantle drug trafficking network. It is disclosed that the State Government Committee for Peace, Restoration and Youth Rehabilitation has arrested more than 400 youth suspected of involvement in drug-related offenses and thuggery across the states.
Today's victory is one battle in the line of a longer campaign. To that end, my administration will, 1. Continue to strengthen interagency intelligence sharing and cross-border cooperation to dismantle all trafficking networks.
Earlier, the NDLEA strategic commander in Kano, Nahiru Lawal Yahaya, said the destroyed drugs weighing 11,990.427 kilograms were recovered from convicted offenders following court orders issued by the Federal High Court in Kano.
Today's destructions is accountability in plain sight. Since January this year, the Kano Strategic Command has arrested over 904 suspects, comprises 869 males and 35 females, seized over 2.5 tons of assorted illicit substances, and secured more than 54 convictions, with some offenders receiving sentence of up to 15 years imprisonment.
Although Kano State has been on the top list of the NDLEA for quite some times now, but authorities say the fight against drug abuse is yielding significant results, following a sharp reduction of illicit drug consumption and trafficking across the states. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime here on Global Television. Let's now continue the news with business. The federal government has rolled out 40 compressed natural gas buses, 7 electric buses, and more than 200 CNG-powered tricycles in Kano State as part of a push for cleaner, cheaper, and sustainable transport nationwide. The development was announced by Ismail Ahmed, Executive Chairman of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative. On the foreign scene, Britain's Chancellor Rachel Reeves says the UK's support for Ukraine will not waver when the country's new Prime Minister takes office. Speaking during a visit to Kiev following the resignation of Prime Minister Keir Starmer, she said Andy Bonham, who is favoured for the position, will stand with Ukraine both as a government and as a people.
UK leader Keir Starmer had previously announced he was quitting following months of pressure with veteran Labour politician Andy Burnham, the frontrunner to become the country's 7th Prime Minister in a decade. Burnham could be installed in 10 Downing Street in just over 3 weeks after would-be rival Wes Streeton said he was backing the ex-Manchester mayor for the premiership. If Burnham is unchallenged, then he is likely to become Prime Minister on either July 17 or 18. The UK has announced over £290 million of support for Ukraine's resilience and energy security through bilateral assistance and a UK export finance-backed deal on top of the latest $1 billion of UK fiscal support.
Well, the Defence Investment Plan hasn't yet been published, and what I can tell people is that plan will involve more money. I'm already the Chancellor that's overseen the biggest uplift in defence spending since the end of the Cold War, but recognising the scale of the challenge we face today, we need to increase that amount further. We'll be doing so and setting that out imminently and certainly ahead of the NATO summit in Ankara. But the new Prime Minister, who is almost certainly going to be Andy Burnham, will absolutely stand by Ukraine, as the UK has done, both as a government and as a people, ever since Russia's invasion.
During the visit, she also met Ukrainian Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov and representatives of Ukrainian and British defense companies, where she was shown cutting-edge military technology, including projects being developed through bilateral cooperation.
I'm in Kyiv, having just come from Poland, where I was at the Ukraine Recovery Conference, to show our support for Ukraine in its fight against the Russians, but also to talk directly to the Minister for Defence here about what they need. And we're going to be publishing our Defence Investment Plan shortly, and I'm determined that that involves more money, spent more effectively, but crucially meeting the moment and the challenges that we face today, particularly.
Reeves paid tribute to fallen Ukrainian defenders at the Wall of Remembrance outside St. Michael's Golden Domed Monastery. She was also shown the damage caused by a Shahed drone strike on the Dominican Cathedral, as well as a panoramic view of Kyiv from the hills near the National Museum of the History of Ukraine in World War II. Reeves also visited a rehabilitation center for children with disabilities that receives UK funding. Uyi Agbomofwegbe, Global TV News.
And now to sports. The leadership of the National Sports Commission has named Nigeria's shot put star Chukwuebuka Enekwechi as the nation's captain male for the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland. The US-based 2018 Commonwealth Games silver medalists will collate the Nigerian team alongside two-time Olympic champion Folashade Oluwafemilayo, who is the female captain for Team Nigeria at the Games. And that's News Prime for you tonight. Thank you for watching. On behalf of my team here at Global Television's headquarters in Abuja, I'm Uyi Agbomofwegbe. We appreciate you for your time and support. Have a good night.